Have you ever walked away from a sales conversation and thought, well, I explained everything perfectly. How come they didn't buy? Here's the truth. Most people don't necessarily dislike being sold to so much as they dislike the feeling that they're being pressured. The highest performing sales professionals don't begin with a pitch. They begin instead with curiosity. So instead of asking yourself inside your mind, how am I going to close this deal? They ask instead, how can I genuinely help someone? This single mindset shift can completely transform your sales results. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through 7 practical steps to master consultative selling so that you can build trust, create stronger relationships, and close more deals naturally. Let's dive in. So, what's consultative selling? Consultative selling is not about convincing people to buy something. It is about helping people make the right decision. Think about the last time you made a significant purchase. Did you buy it just because somebody was talking about their product? Or did you buy it because somebody else truly understood your problem and showed you a way to solve it? Exactly. People don't buy products. They don't care about your product. They buy solutions to their problems. This is why consultative selling has become one of the most effective sales approaches in the market. Whether you're in B2B sales, consulting, real estate, software, insurance, or even running your own business, some of the things that I'm going to talk about today are principles that can help you build stronger client relationships and increase your closing rate. So even though I work personally, mostly with engineers and CTOs, this advice is something that you can give to anybody that's in any sales industry. Let's start with step 1. Stop selling. Don't do it. Start listening. Here is one of the biggest mistakes that I see people in sales make. They start talking before they understand the customer situation. The best sales professionals do exactly the opposite. They spend more time asking questions and listening than giving their own answers. Instead of saying something like, let me show you what we have to offer, ask questions like, what is your biggest challenge right now? What things are you hoping to improve? What's preventing you right now from reaching your goal? These are obviously very generic questions, but even just those simple generic questions as beginning spots to create your own question will change your entire conversation. Because now you're not selling, you're learning first. And people are more likely to trust somebody who takes the time to understand them. Remember, the person that asks the best question is usually the person that will earn the most amount of trust. So obviously we just started with some very surface level questions. That's step 1. But step 2 is go beyond that. Ask better questions. Top performers will ask questions that reveal a real problem. Instead of asking somebody, what's your budget look like? That's pretty generic. Instead, you want to ask them a question that reveals a problem. Something like, what happens if this particular problem is not solved in the next 6 months? Where are you 6 months from now? That question, for example, changes everything. Now the customer starts thinking about the cost of doing nothing. Ask open-ended questions. Let your prospects tell their story. The more they talk, the more information you have to help them, and the more that they feel understood. Remember, people trust people who listen. Step 3. You can't skip this one. You have to understand before you recommend. One mistake that I see all the time is salespeople or even technical resources recommending a solution before they fully understand the customer's situation. Imagine this. Imagine that you going to a doctor and you explain one sentence about something that you might be experiencing, and the doctor immediately writes a prescription. Would you trust that doctor? Probably not. A good doctor is going to actually ask you questions first. A good doctor is going to investigate. A good doctor is going to get data before they make a recommendation. The great sales professionals should be doing exactly the same thing. Please don't rush through this. Understand your customers' goals. Understand their challenges. Understand their concerns. Understand their constraints. Only then should you recommend a solution. When a recommendation feels personalized, it stops becoming just a sales pitch. It's really valuable advice. Step 4, build your trust before you sell. Here's a simple truth. People buy and people talk to other people that they trust. They don't necessarily buy the cheapest option. They don't necessarily buy from the biggest company. they will buy based on trust. That trust is built over time through honesty. If your product is not the best fit for a particular need, go ahead and say it. If there's a limitation, explain what that limitation is. The irony is that being honest about your weaknesses oftentimes will make customers trust your strengths even more. Never promise something that you can't deliver. A long-term relationship is worth far more than one quick sale. It may be worth many sales over the rest of your life. Step 5. Make sure you're educating your customer rather than just pitching them your product or your advantage. Think about your favorite teacher. I'll tell you about mine. One of my favorite teachers was my third grade teacher. And one of the things that I really enjoyed about my third grade teacher was that she was fresh out of college. And so she felt to me like somebody who was young enough to explain things to somebody else who was also young. So the reason I enjoyed learning from her is because she helped me understand. She came to my level and educated me rather than just simply pitching me on a set of ideas that would be, this is how you become an adult. Great salespeople do the same thing. They educate. Instead of saying something like, our product is amazing, here's all the great things it can do. They'll explain why it can do what it does, how it solves a problem, what results customers usually experience. People feel much more comfortable making a decision when they understand it. Education reduces uncertainty, and confident buyers buy faster. Step 6. It's one thing to educate on the positive parts of your business. That's something that we're all used to. That's one thing that we hide when we pitch. We're essentially forcing the customer into the positive side of the relationship. However, there are going to be situations where you need to hear objections and handle them. Many salespeople become defensive when they hear objections. Don't worry about it. An objection just usually means that a customer needs more information, more honest information, more opportunity to build trust. For example, if somebody says, that thing you're selling me is too expensive, a lot of salespeople will just go, oh, okay, well, we've got discount levels. Don't do that. Instead, ask, compared to what? Or, can you tell me a little bit more about what your concerns are with the price? Now suddenly you're having a conversation instead of an argument. They may say it's too expensive, but sometimes that objection isn't actually about price. It's really more about uncertainty. Find out what the real concern is first, and then respond to that. Step 7, guide the decision. Don't pressure it. This is the spot where a lot of salespeople and even technical people will lose the deal. They get pushy. They're all about that end of quarter. There's a deadline. There's pressure. Constant follow-up. Customers feel it immediately. Instead, remember that your job is to guide a decision. You can summarize things that you've discussed, confirm their goals, explain how the solution helps. Then just simply ask, based on everything that we've discussed here, do you feel like this makes sense for your situation? That's you being a consultant. That's consultative selling. You're helping. You're not pushing. Let me recap those 7 steps for you quickly. Listen more than you speak. Ask better questions. Understand before recommending. Build trust. Educate instead of pitching. Handle objections with curiosity. Guide the decision instead of forcing it. Here's something else to remember. People are rarely going to remember the salesperson who talked the most. Sometimes they will. I work with a guy named Jeff, and all I remember is that he talks a lot. But the thing that they remember about Jeff really is not the fact that he talks so much. It's the fact that he makes people feel understood. He talks a lot, but guess what? He asks a lot of really good questions. And he's very willing to educate rather than pitch. That's what consultative selling is really about. It's not about closing deals. It's about building relationships. And when you build enough trust, the sales naturally follow. If you found anything that I've discussed in this video valuable, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe for more practical insights on sales, leadership, business growth. And I'd love to hear from you. Which of these 7 strategies do you think will have the biggest impact on your conversations in the future? Leave your answer in the comments below. Thanks for watching.